Wisp Sports Radio, the voice of women in sport.
Welcome to the Siri Bek Show on Wisp Sports Radio. I'm Siri Lindley.
And I'm Rebecca Keat.
And at Wisp Sports, we believe that women in sport deserve equal coverage. The Siri Bek Show is where we share our life experiences, because sport is a vehicle through which we have found our true selves, and we hope to inspire you to do the same. The Siri Bek Show is presented by Rest Performance, introducing the world's only smart bed designed for athletes. I personally recommend this bed as a training and recovery tool for all of my athletes. With 5 separate body zones that provide targeted pressure relief, as well as innovative technology that automatically adjusts to your personalized comfort settings, the Rest Smart Bed revolutionizes the way you sleep and recover like no other mattress. Learn more at restperformance.com.
And today we're going to be talking about preparing for the Hawaii Ironman World Championships in Kona, which is coming up in a few weeks' time.
Woohoo!
So this is really exciting because we actually haven't talked much about this.
We haven't, and it's such a big race, and it's so different. It's truly unique in its challenges. And yes, Ironman on its own is a massive challenge. But being in Hawaii on the island of Kona, tell us, Beck, you've been there how many times racing?
I think I've raced there 6 or 7 times.
And what would you say for you?
It's a mixed bag. My first experience was the best because there was no expectation. And even though I'd gone through a huge trauma before it, I actually had lost my dad like about a week before the race, and I didn't really want to race, but I knew that he would be so proud of me if I did get through it because we'd been on the island together before, and I had no expectation whatsoever, and I was so meticulous with my preparation and my food and my calories and nutrition and hydration that I ended up having one of the greatest races there, and I think I was 6 in my first year. I was just talking to my mum about that, but really that was my best performance other than running into 5th one year and then getting DQ'd. So I only had probably 2 memorable good races there, and the others it's a mixed bag. It's like Madame Palais, you have to respect her, and I really tried to, and we can talk more about that. The other 3 races weren't really that memorable. There was like a 13th, I think like a 17th, and then 2 DNFs.
Well, tell me this, what is it about that race that seems to get in people's heads before the race even starts? What is it about that race that produces so much anxiety in the athletes?
That's what they say. They say, get in your head and you're dead. And it's so true. As I said, the first race was my best race ever. There was no expectation. I think people go into it, firstly, you're setting the time goals and trying to say, oh, this is the time I'd like to achieve, and trying to work out what their swim, bike, and run splits should be. I think that's like, that expectation is the mother of all, you know what they say. But I think the race is just so different to any other race. And my main concerns when I raced there and for my athletes was just the heat and humidity. And I used to argue this with Brett Sutton because he would say, oh, it's not that hot. And I'd laugh and I'd say, you've never even been there, Doc. Like, you can't say it's not hot. It is like, the energy lab is brutal and it's indescribable. The heat coming off the road, you can see it sizzling off the road. I've literally seen, and I've actually happened to me with an old pair of shoes from years ago. The sole melted off the shoe. Like, it is that hot. It is like 110. The energy lab's over 110, I think, and sometimes up to 80-90% humidity. And you just, unless you're living there, you just can't prepare for that heat. I remember training in a sauna before it, and I really do think that helped.
Yeah, and I think that, we're not here to scare you with this. Like, the conditions are tough, but what you have to understand is that everybody is faced with the same conditions. And in those conditions, so I'm going to put a positive spin on this, you go in and say, I'm going to do the best that I can. with what I have. And that means I'm going to hydrate well. I'm going to take in my salt. I'm going to take in my electrolytes. I'm going to pace myself. Like, just because the conditions are brutal, everyone's faced with those same conditions. It's how you deal with them, how you manage them, and preparing to give your body everything it needs so that it can function at the highest levels on that course. I think one more thing is the wind.
Oh, I was going to say that. One thing I didn't mention was the wind. And I don't mean to scare you, but I want to be realistic because the heat is just, as I said, it's indescribable if you're not used to heat and humidity, and you just have to be so prepared to know that your heart rate, unless you're a local, is going to be quite a bit higher than normal. You're going to be working at a much higher heart rate for the same effort, so power is really irrelevant. That's hence why we don't use power a lot. You're going to be working much higher aerobically. You can have more effort. The muscles are going to feel a little more fatigued, and obviously the higher and better prepared you are is going to work better for you in the race. But the wind is scary. Like some days, Madame Palais just likes to say, look out, and she sends winds. I've had up to 60 miles, I think, at one stage, and that is terrifying at Harvey. So we can go more into some tips on handling your bike in that wind. But I know Siri, for example, we went out the week before the race one day. It was howling, and Siri, we were on our bike, so we were scared. I actually remember getting to the shop, parking my bike, and the wind lifted it out of my arms and flipped it up above my head, and Siri got almost lost it on her scooter. I think she got picked up.
I was picked up on my scooter. I was literally placed from the right-hand side of the road, and the wind picked up my scooter and landed me on the other side of the white line. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, the wind can be brutal. And again, how do we deal with this? Well, prepare for that. You want to prepare in windy conditions. On those days when it's howling winds at home and you decide to stay in on the turbo, that's exactly the time when you should get out there and build up your confidence in the wind. Because if you save it for race day, it's going to use up a lot of your energy because you will be nervous and anxious. But if you can practice anytime it's windy, get out there and practice, staying loose in your arms and not like gripping the bike with straight arms, which is the worst thing you can do, and keep that torque on the pedals, keep moving those pedals around. But you really need to kind of relax and lean into it if it's a crosswind. But Beck, why don't you give some good tips on that?
Yeah, I was really lucky to have Michael Lovato, one of the best riders in the sport and a really good friend of ours. Him and his wife are just an awesome couple, power couple. And he said to me, the biggest tip I remember was, yes, like Siri said, loose grip on your hands, keep the torque, but sometimes when you're doing like 40, 50 miles an hour, you run out of gears, you can't really keep the torque on the pedals because you're absolutely out of gears. So he said you slightly hold your knees onto the frame. So you actually hold your knees into the frame so it's touching the frame, and that will stop the speed wobbles. And it really, really worked for me because I remember being on one of the bikes, the first bike I had, a Teschner, and that was terrifying. The frame was it was not really hard to control. Thankfully, our Quintana Roo, I don't have that issue at all, but holding your knees close to the frame and gripping the frame, I've seen Troy even do this in training on descents, it actually will stabilize the bike a bit more.
Yeah, awesome advice. But guys, just like this, if you're super nervous to take a test, what are you going to do? You're going to study for it. You're going to prepare for it. You're going to try and do everything that you can so that you're ready when it's time to take that test. Same thing. If you're worried about the wind, it's causing you anxiety. You're worried about the heat, it's causing you anxiety. Practice. Get out there. Practice in the wind. Practice in the heat. Prepare yourself so that you're better able to handle it on race day and it's not such a shock.
And if you can't practice in the wind at home, I would suggest getting there at least, if you can, even more than a week before, and just go out on the chorus and pray for a bit of wind, because the thing with these winds, they're not constant. Most of the time it's a trade wind where there are massive gusts, and you actually have to almost brace yourself and lean into the wind as these gusts come. And just so you know, if you're going up to Harvey, there's mountains, and in between the mountains you'll be able to see, look out, this is a really good tip. I think Rennie told me this, and it's silly that I didn't think of it, but when you see a mountain and then it drops down into a shallow gully and then another little bit of a mountain on the left side, if you've got the ocean on the right, those gullies where there's no mounds on the left, where there's sort of no land, it sort of flattens out, that gap between the two hills, like that is where the trade winds will come right across and whack you, and you can actually work out where you're going to be hit the worst. And the other thing is looking up the road at the other cyclists. Like, you'll see them leaning in. There's people with really good bike skills. You watch them and you see when they're leaning into the wind, they actually come at a big gust. So you really have to brace yourself and keep trying to pedal and lean into it.
Okay, so if I'm listening to this and I'm getting ready to race, I'd be like shitting my pants right now. So, Beck, like, I mean, we are being very real here, guys, with the things that our athletes worry about the most going into the race.
But some days there's no wind, so you never know with Kona. Like, it's actually unlikely that there's really huge crosswinds, but you have to be prepared for them.
You do, and that means practicing, be ready, expect them. Like, it's better to expect that it's going to be windy and be pleasantly surprised if it's not, than to expect that it's going to be calm. And the other thing, too, is you could be riding out to Javi with a headwind the whole entire way and then turn around, come back, and it's a headwind going back. So, again, you never, ever know. And I think one of the biggest things in Kona is, expectations kill. No expectations as far as what to expect on race day, weather-wise, temperature-wise, what happens on the course on that day, how you're going to race, how you're going to feel. All you can do is prepare to the best of your ability, your fitness, your strength, mentally, your strategy, everything that you have, your mindset. And if you prepare to the best of your ability, then you'll know that no matter what happens on race day, you're ready to handle it, and ready to handle it with confidence and with grace.
I think we should go back and talk about going into Kona, because a lot of people ask, we'll rewind a little bit. We'll talk about going into Kona when we think, and everybody's obviously different. For me, it used to work going in just 7 days before, some people going 2 weeks before, some people going a month before, some people going, like I know Tio's changed to, I can't remember, like just a few days before, and everyone's different. So it does depend on you personally. And then we can talk about a little bit about getting there and where to shop or where to eat, or if you want to eat at home. I like to cook all my meals at home too.
And you were great with that. You would always get everything you needed. You'd arrive in Kona, get everything that you needed, because nobody wants to be going to the grocery store 2 days before the race.
So when do you think people should come in for the race? Because that's where we were at. I know I like to come in a week before. Rini likes to go in, how long, 2 weeks?
It depends. We've changed things up every year, and I think certain people, if there are people that struggle in the heat and struggle in the wind, I used to go out sometimes 3 to 4 weeks before the race to get them used to training in the heat, experimenting with salt and how that works for them, and doing lots of rides on the course and in the gusty conditions so that they can build up their confidence on the course. But as you know, Beck, we talked about this a lot. The biggest mistake people make when they get there early is what?
Well, I didn't like going in early at all. I went in 2 weeks before. It was so hot, and Brett had me doing 4-hour bike rides, and I had to break them up into 2-hour bike rides because it was just so exhausting. It was so hot. I'd come from Germany, and it was cold there, and my body was just not recovering like it should be. I just was not used to it. So for me, who wasn't really great in the heat, I actually like to come in as late as possible, because then you're got to be really careful of going too hard. Like, most people go there and they're excited and they try and do the same effort they do where it's not hot from where they come from, and they're just exhausted and they're dehydrated, and they just can't replace that electrolyte and that hydration that they've lost in training. And you've got to be so careful not to go too hard. I think if you're there, the work should be done, and you don't want to be there a month before. I think for me personally and my athletes, because you're still working quite hard up to a month before, we start tapering back about like 10 days to 14 days before, and then I think it's okay to go there, but it's exhausting in the heat especially if you're not used to it, you're not coming from a hotter climate, or you don't do great in the heat.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think where I was going with that, the biggest mistake I think people make is going way too hard. They're so excited to be in Kona, and I so often, every single year, we'll be out there training along the Queen K, and here I'll have, Marinda Carfrey and Yvonne Van Vlerken, whoever is with me, and they're amazing riders, Kaisa Sali, and, these age groupers will go whipping by them like a million miles an hour, hammering by them, and we all look and say, oh my God, that poor person, because they're going way too hard 2 or 3 days before the race. So you really need to hold back. Don't go too hard. The work has been done, just like Beck said. And eat and drink and be taking in your salt and conserve your effort and save it for race day. You want to have everything you need on that day, energy-wise, both physical energy and mental and emotional energy. So, conserve that going into the race.
Yeah, I think if there's any Aussies out there, usually you guys are pretty good in the heat. I think you can afford to probably go in like just a week out, 7 to 10 days. That's usually what I did, and I feel like that works quite well. If you're coming from, you're coming from a fair way away too, so you don't want to get in there too late. But in saying that, I know some people like Loretta Harrop, who was an Olympic silver medalist, used to fly from race to race, and literally she just didn't think jet lag existed, and she'd get there a day before from Europe to Australia and race the next day and still do really well. So you have to work out what's good for you personally, but for any Aussies, I would say 7 to 10 days is probably the ideal time to go.
And for me, for my athletes, I have everyone heading out there about 12 to 14 days before the race.
And they're coming from America, most of them.
Yeah, and a couple that are going in 3 weeks before the race. So it really depends on the person. It depends on your mindset. If you're someone that's going to be worried about how you're going to do on the course and how you're going to handle the heat, that's something you want to think about. Get there early and get confident there. Or are you someone that goes too hard and is going to overdo yourself before the race? So that's where having a coach is going to really help you to make that decision. But go to people that you trust, ask those questions, or come to us at Team Serious Tri Club. Join our club. Every week we answer everyone's questions. There are no silly questions, no stupid questions. Whatever's on your mind, we will answer them. So join us at www.teamserioustriclub.com. We would love to have you in our tribe, and it's an awesome, awesome way to get all your questions answered and to go into every race not only with confidence, but with a group of supporters around you that care as much as you do about your dreams and goals.
The World Equestrian Games. Interviews with the world's top female riders. Live coverage every day from September 11th to the 23rd. Don't miss it. Tune in to Wisp Sports.
Thrilled that Believe Ranch and Rescue has been chosen as the official charity for Wisp Sports coverage of the FEI World Equestrian Games.
Chris Stafford will be bringing daily coverage of the games from September 11 to 23 on the Horse Show podcast and on Wisp Sports Facebook page live with live video coverage. Be sure to stay tuned for that.
Wisp Sports Radio.
Let's talk about when you arrive in Kona. So we used to normally arrive, do our big food shop. I'd get all my food for the week mostly, and a lot of my special needs stuff, I'd leave that probably more to the last minute. But I think going there and getting settled in, I usually did an easy swim if I could the day I got there because it's a long travel day, or take the day off. Travel days are good days to take the day off. Get there, get settled, get all your food, try to eat in at home as much as you can. We just used to do a big shop at Safeway. I felt like it was kind of expensive there, right?
It's pretty expensive.
Yeah. Siri would always hire, we can send you guys a link if you need it. We'd always hire a moped. Actually, she has one there, but there's a place you can hire from. I can't think of the name, but hiring a scooter is quite cheap. And a lot of the time, locals will actually rent their cars out to you because I know renting from the airport is quite expensive too. So put your feelers out there and see if you can rent a car from a local as well. But I know hiring a scooter is sometimes the way to go if you're living close and could just ride in and out to sessions because the traffic there is kind of crazy race week. It's nice to have a scooter going in and out. You'll probably see crazy Siri riding around doing illegal stuff on her scooter. We used to always get in trouble by this one policeman every year at the same time because we'd be doubling up and you're actually not allowed to, but we always did it. We always wore our helmets, but he'd always go, "You two again. You know you can't double up on the scooter." I think there's a rule there. You have to have a certain license or something.
I think we know we know that rule now, but we were kind of naughty. But so scooters are great. It's quite dangerous, guys. Kona gets really, really busy. So when you're riding along Ali'i Drive, be super, super careful. People are excited. Some people are time trialing down the street, even though there are people walking. And
don't time trial down a Leahy Drive, guys.
Yeah,
don't do that. Even if you're far out, like, you do your time trialing on the Queen K.
But I remember in 2015, we were 2 days out from the race, and Rinny was riding home from just an easy ride on her bike, and at an intersection, it was just a T intersection, she got hit by a car 2 days before the race, and she was in the form of her life and ended up, it really, smashed up her body a bit.
More than she thought, yeah.
Yeah, just on the bike, her back seized up, her body was just not in condition to finish the race.
Every year someone has a bad accident.
So be careful, guys. And don't ride your bike along Leahy Drive. I would actually, if you've got someone coming to the race with you, drive out beyond the airport.
What's your normal? You have to give everything away, but you guys would normally, like, a week before or 4 days before, you park out at
like Manalani or Waikoloa.
And ride up to, I think it's good to park at Manalani and then ride up to the turnaround. I forgot.
Yeah, up the turnaround, or even up Harvey.
Up Harvey. What's the turnaround called? The town there.
Which
the turnaround at Harvey? What's the town called?
Oh, at Harvey.
I thought there was a special name for it. Yeah, so you can go out like I would go out, like, try and go out a week before or like 3 or 4 days before, and don't do too much, but do like a couple of hours where you're actually going up the climb for a little bit just to get a feel, because the climb is quite tough, and it's 20 miles uphill, and because of the steepness, it's a long climb. I think it's probably like, what is it, from the bottom, 1.5, 2 hours or something.
Yeah, but great place to ride out there. You'd be safe. You're seeing the course. You're getting a lot of good wind out there, which is great. Another thing, race week, they've got that expo, and it's a fabulous
so
expo.
hot.
It's amazing, but do not spend your time walking around the expo getting dehydrated, staying on your feet. As much as you want to be there and check it out because it's Kona, maybe go in and out for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, but get that done early on in the week. And again, conserve your energy for race day. And Beck, let's go back to food and stuff, because I know 1 year I think you had an issue eating at a restaurant and getting sick. So what would you recommend? I mean, any race, you really don't want to eat anything new, anything strange, anything off the streets, right? Not literally off the streets, but if someone was like selling hot dogs on the street, it's not a great idea. But why don't you just talk about that?
No, I just used to buy all my stuff from Safeway. Obviously, I try and eat organic whenever I can, and they usually sell that. But I would buy all my food for the week and just have it all ready for all my meals. And the pre-meal, I'd probably get a couple of days out. But I just always had like a little bit of rice or pasta, a little bit of chicken, protein, and a little bit of fat as well. We actually used to have, like, sometimes even cooked fries. Like,
we did.
Potato, it's carbs, and a little bit of fat, a little bit of oil in my rice or with my meal, and try and balance it out. But I would start carb loading for a race like this, because obviously you're going to be working at a pretty high heart rate, probably higher than normal, just with the heat and everything, no matter the effort. But I would start carb loading at least 5 days out, 4 to 5 days out, minimum like 3 days out, and having a little bit of carbs every single meal to try and get the carbohydrate stores replenished for the race and full.
Extra salt too.
Salt all the time.
Salt
everything.
All your food. Yep. Everything you eat, salt your food.
But I was going to say one thing too, Siri, was the air conditioning. I remember 1 year you didn't get air conditioning, and we bought like one in the wall and used it, because there's sort of like different opinions. I know some people like to have places without air conditioning so they acclimate for the race, and I know that's one theory, but I actually didn't like that at all. I used to like being cool and relaxed and having a low heart rate and recovering in my apartment, where it's nice and cool, come back from training, come back from being at the expo, and just sit down and relax and be able to recover and not sweat. And I felt like it actually, for me, was better to have air conditioning, because it just gave my body time to recover. And then there's definitely people that like to have no air conditioning because they say they acclimate better with that.
I would have to agree with you. I think that, I think if you don't have AC and you're hot and you're sweating, you can't sleep at night, like you're just adding up to the pre-race nerves and anxieties. And, be comfortable. get the best sleep that you're capable of getting race week. Don't worry about your sleep the night before the race. I don't think there's anybody that really sleeps well the night before an Ironman.
I remember Andreas Weiler saying that he just stays awake because he knows he's not going to sleep. He literally stays awake. This is true story. All night he'll watch TV, and I know I need to at least. Your mum's funny. She says you can lie there, have your eyes open, you're still getting the same benefits because you sleep. It's like so not true, but I love that
she was trying to help me, because in my last year of racing, I was a complete insomniac. I would sleep maybe 3 hours a night, and I would call her so stressed out. And she just wanted it to be okay somehow, so she was trying to convince me to believe that just lying there was just as good as sleeping. And it definitely helped. It definitely helped.
It's psychological, but that's where the rest beds I love, because it will put you into a deep sleep, which is the only time you reverse age. Did you know that?
Yeah, and
recover when you're in a deep sleep. So that's the only time you reverse age and you release all the hormones you need. And the rest beds will get you into a deep sleep longer than any other bed. It will literally help your recovery more. So that's where we're so lucky to have our rest beds.
Amazing, guys. If you can get one in your life and have that in your home, it's the best thing that's ever happened to us and to our athletes. And the reason why you get that deeper sleep is we're often woken up by, your shoulder being sore or something being squished or something aching. But when you custom fit the bed to your body, and especially, just how your body feels that day or that week, it's moving to maintain that comfort level throughout the night, even as you move around in your own bed. So it truly is such an incredible tool.
Now, we did have, we have a couple of questions we have to answer because they wrote in and asked for us to answer them on the podcast, but let's quickly talk about race week, because Siri has, I'm going to throw it out there, they do an open water swim, and it's really important, guys, if you've never been to Kona, to get out in the open water, even if you're a little scared. Maybe you can hook up with Siri's group. I don't know, I probably should.
If you join the Team Sirius Tri Club, you can come to the swim, but if you're not in the club,
so I think we had about 10 people last year, and Anne Perry is like a local there, and she's amazing, and there are certain things you've got to do, like you've got to get in that water, you've got to look, because the sighting in Kona is the absolute key to a good swim. And if you've never been there, honestly, the more I swam, I remember Leander and I just dumped us out to sea like about 4 times that week, and it was imperative to me. The year I'm very proud I let out the
First
Hawaii.
out of the water, it was amazing.
I let out the Hawaii Ironman. I remember nudging Jodie Swallow out of transition to get past her. Jodie will hate me for that. But I came out in the lead pack, and it was all to do, honestly, with sighting and knowing where to go, and obviously whose feet to be on. I think I sat on Leander's feet that day. She was such a good navigator. But it was knowing where to look, because I remember Siri saying, look for the towers. I'm like, where the hell are they? And you can't see them. Like, sometimes you look up, you can't see the towers, so you have to know about where to look. It's so important. And with the current, sometimes it's pushing you in. If the tide's going in, you got it. It's so important to know, guys. So get out there and go to have your little break at the coffee. They have a coffee hut halfway up, but go around and come. Even if you get, you can go out actually about 1 kilometre out or a mile out. You can go off the rocks. I don't recommend it if you're not a good rock climber. We jumped off the rocks or out at the little, what's the bay there, Siri, where we swam out from one time. And you can swim
exactly
back.
What you
can
mean.
swim back from the end. So instead of swimming all the way out and back in, you can swim from the turn, which is about, I don't know what it is. It must be like half the distance of the race, so like 1.9 kilometres out. And you can swim back in and just watch to see where you need to be looking, because it's so important, guys.
And you did. You were so good about that. Every single day we would swim out there and work on navigating and just getting comfortable in the water, getting used to having dolphins swimming around you, which is amazing and such great energy, but that really worked for you, and it showed.
It's really choppy at the back, more so than in the bay is quite okay, but it doesn't look choppy, but it's quite choppy out there, so getting used to that feel and that current. I always got seasick, so I had to almost get my sea legs.
Yeah.
It helped a lot.
It helped a ton. So if you're out there and you're a member of our Team Sirius Tri Club, we will be out there one day doing a session with Anne Perry and with me and with my athletes. So we would love to have you there. For the bike, just making sure that you bring spare tubes on your bike. Mm-hmm. I've seen too many flat tires where people said, no, it's race day, I didn't bring a spare. And it's like, you cannot afford to do that. Have more food than you think you're going to need, more drinks than you think you're going to need, more
salt,
tubes, salt, everything you possibly could need, have it. Don't assume that you won't need it. Assume that you will and have it with you.
I always had like little cans of Coke, the 250 mils, because you want in the run, it doesn't work for everyone, but the calories are so important. It's sometimes really hard to eat in Kona with the heat. So I always had every special needs. You can actually put it, for the pros, we're allowed to put it on every drink station in the run. I had like a 250 ml Coke, and I knew I could grab that every time. And if I couldn't eat the gel because I felt sick, which I usually did in Kona, I was bloated, I'd eat the Coke, and that was already, I knew that was like 120 grams of calories without having to worry about having a gel. So that was a little tip for me. I think that worked. Having a little Coke can every like 2 kilometers really, really helped with having extra nutrition and extra calories.
Awesome. And what about on the run? Let's just real quick give some tips for the run in Kona.
Yes. Quick, fast feet out of transition. I know there's actually a little hill out of transition. You go up a little hill and then you have to turn right. Is that right?
That's right. And you want to keep quick little steps, guys. You're just getting off 180K of riding. You're going to be a bit stiff. You're going to be a bit tight. Keep your steps short. Lean into the hill. Don't look up to the top of the hill. You'll fall backwards. You'll be dragging yourself up the hill. So stay forward, look down, quick feet, little feet up to the top of the hill. You will save so much energy and you'll feel so much better. And getting off to a good start, both mentally and physically, is key.
Yeah, and I think you're right. Like that hill coming out to the first turnaround, we turn around a leafy drive, come back. What's the hill that you go up to get onto
Palani?
So Palani, sorry, I forgot. But Palani, like a few times I really suffered there. I remember Rachel Joyce going past me and I just couldn't get a rhythm. I was trying to take 2 bigger strides and I was looking up. That was before I was obviously with Siri, but don't look up there because you look up and it's a tough hill. So I would keep your eyes down going up there as well.
Eyes down, lean into it, and quick feet. You're going to save energy. You're going to feel so much better and you'll just have a much better time.
Don't miss the aid station.
Yes.
Yeah.
Grab every aid station. And guys, we're giving you all the pointers on Kona because it is such an incredible challenge and such an amazing race. It's like the best race in the world. It's my favorite. I look forward to it every single year. But the key is, first of all, feel so proud. You made it to the Ironman World Championship. That is spectacular. You are courageous. You are a warrior. I want you to embrace every single moment and love the fact that you are good enough to be racing on this epic course. Mindset is everything, and do the little things right.
Yeah, it's definitely a gift to be there, to qualify, or even to get a lottery spot. But going down that finish line, take it all in because it's actually a long way to the finish line once you turn back right onto a leahy drive. And just take it all in, guys, and stay around and support these other guys that are out there. There's guys that finish with their glow sticks at midnight, and it's just amazing to see. It's like nothing else. So appreciate that finish line. Don't run through it like I did the first time and totally forget where you are. Like absorb everything.
I love that. And it's the history, guys. Such an epic course. When we land, the first thing we think about is how many sets of feet have run down that highway. How many dreams, how many people can say that their most epic experience of their lives happened in Kona on this course. Like there's so much history, so much emotion. It's just amazing. Embrace it all and be proud.
We have 3 quick questions that were asked. Okay, so Maggie Viola, Siri, you answer this because you have a 6-pack. I don't have one. I have a 6-pack.
Don't have a 6-pack.
I have a 6-pack of Flab. And
my God.
I saw
liar.
Siri's mum in a 2-piece. We went water running, and she's seriously a 70-something, and she has a 6-pack still. And I'm like, yep, my wife's still going to have a 6-pack.
I wish. I better get to the gym.
So
right
Maggie's asking, how do you get a 6-pack? And I know a lot of the time people think that there's such thing as spot reduction. Unless you get lipo, you can't really spot reduce fat off your gut. But the cardio will burn the fat off wherever you're holding it the most. So if it's on your tummy, hopefully it will go off there first, sometimes. But Siri, you used to do sit-ups every night. I know you and Loretta used to do sit-ups every night.
I was obsessed with it. When I was racing and training, every single night I would do 10 to 15 minutes of abdominal work, whether it was planks or crunches. And, I'd get in bed sometimes and be like, oh my God, I forgot to do my abs. And I would literally get out of bed and do them. And I got this from my mom. My mom still at the age of 73 is doing her abs every single night. I'm not. And I'm still hanging on to the fact that I somehow...
Still has V's.
I don't know how that's happened, but I need to get back to work in the gym. So maybe I will start today a 30-day abdominal work every single night for at least 5 minutes. But guys, if you're consistent, consistency is everything. Nothing happens overnight. You can't go to the gym one weekend and expect to be fit for life, as Tony Robbins
build
would
muscle.
say. So build that muscle. Do your abdominal work. I mean, that core work is essential for holding together technique on the swim, bike, and
really
run.
important.
It's essential for power transfer on the swim, power transfer on the bike. Like, it's so crucially important to your performance. So it's not just about what it looks like. Do it, and it will enhance your performance.
Yeah, your transverse abdominals, all you guys should be doing work to strengthen your TA, whether it's Pilates type work or leg lifts or something like that. Even just normal sit-ups will still work your transverse abdominals, and your trunk is so important. You should all be doing that. Even if you can't see them, they need to be there working. So don't miss that. That's a good one, Siri. So the next question is Meg's. This will be our last one. Meg's has asked, Meg Schaefer, the difference between racing draft legal and non-draft legal. Obviously, there's a huge difference, including the bike setup. What's the most important things to know when racing draft legal for the first time?
I would say work on your bike skills. If you're not confident in your bike skills, which I actually wasn't through my whole career, I did not feel like I was anywhere near one of the best skilled riders. I would get to the front and I would just say, hey, it's better for me to put my head down and go as hard as I absolutely can from start to finish. If someone else wants to take a pull and can take a pull and pull us even faster, then great. But otherwise, I was quite happy to just, work the whole way. But if that's not you, I would say,
if you're one of our athletes, you've been trained to be able to do that. So
exactly.
You should be strong enough.
But if that's not you, work on your bike skills. Go, find a crit course and do some crit races even. Be very careful, but definitely work on those bike skills, the cornering skills, knowing your gearing, coming in and out of corners, positioning, depending on which direction the wind is coming from. Work on those skills because it will make a big difference if you're not the type of person that's willing to just go to the front and hammer.
Yeah, I think the gearing is so important. Like, I used to have troubles as a junior. You got to gear in and gear out of the corners and know you've got to anticipate what gear you need to be in, and that can be hard coming down a hill, up a hill, turning, like certain sharpness of corners and turns. But the other thing I really think is important is cadence. For Siri, she was a bit of a freak. She was still really low, like 78, 80, but I noticed like the Brownlees, all the top riders of the sport, like Gwen Jorgensen, they're all around 90 RPM, and it's a drafting race. It's like the Tour de France. They're sitting in a much higher cadence than you are when you're non-drafting. Non-drafting is a little bit different technique. You drop your heel more. You're sitting further forward, whereas drafting, you're sitting further back. It's more hamstring engagement, and it's a higher cadence. So that can help off the bike too, but your heart rate will obviously be a little higher. But I think you do have to up your cadence a little bit just to get ready for those attacks, to get ready to get in and out of the saddle, in and out of the cornering. So that's why you will see a much higher cadence in the short course racing rather than the Ironman. Don't try and do, the 70, 80 unless you're Siri Lindley in a short course drafting race. So I would recommend trying to get used to a little higher cadence, to be honest, and that will help with your fast twitch too.
And your training too will change because there will be, you're going to be sprinting at max effort out of transition to get into that pack that's just ahead of you. You're going to be sprinting, when someone makes a move and tries to break away. So adding that kind of training into your daily workouts is going to be super important. Whereas in a non-drafting race, you're literally putting your head down and you're hammering from start to finish. It's kind of requires a different kind of strength.
Yep, exactly. I think that's all for now, Siri.
Conversations from the world of women's sports. This is Wisp Sports Radio.
Remember, guys, you can follow us at Team Sirius Tri Club on social media. We have a Facebook and we have our website, www.teamsiriestriclub.com. There is incredible value if you want to join right now. You get programs, you get a run program, you get off-season program, wind trainer programs, you get all our live chats, and you get a free app. You get huge discounts, 40 to 60% off all our sponsors such as Roka, Normatec, Rest Beds, On Running, and more. And don't forget that all of our profits, most of our profits from Siri and I and our coaching goes towards saving horses. We've saved 73, I believe, now at Believe Ranch and Rescue. Follow us to Believe Ranch and Rescue on social media as well.
We would love to have your support as these horses end up saving humans as well. Follow all female sports on wisports.com. Thank you to our sponsors, Rest Performance at restperformance.com, the world's only smart bed designed for performance, recommended by elite coaches like me, and used worldwide by incredible and inspirational athletes.
Thank you for listening and supporting women in sport everywhere.
Woohoo!